Oh, good morning, Annie.
Good morning, Carrie.
Do you know what day it is?
Friday.
It is Friday, not July. Yes, it is
Yes,
July.
it's July the 2nd.
July the 2nd. It's Sarah's birthday today.
Oh.
Happy birthday, Sarah.
Happy birthday, Sarah. All the way in England.
All the way in England,
Oh,
but coming home soon. Coming home. Fingers crossed, prayers said that things stay stable enough.
Mommy's not too excited. Can you tell?
Do you know what makes me even more excited?
No way.
She got her second inoculation.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Double
Opened
vaccine.
up, so we don't have to quarantine.
You know, if I had told you 2 years ago that you'd be celebrating somebody getting double vaxxed, you'd be like, double vaxxed for what? Why am I doing, what do you mean quarantine? Hello.
I know.
How things change, right?
Yes.
And it's become our new normal. Ooh, I hate that phrase too.
I know, and you know what? Because it's not normal. Nothing.
No, it's not normal.
It's okay. We're not normal.
No, we're not normal. We're a little different.
We're quirky.
But you know what? We're in a different place today because we're in front of our beautiful. Are we in front or behind? Ooh, there's an existential.
Well, inside, in front of.
In front of.
Yes.
St. Paul.
That's right.
There he is.
Because our reading today comes from the Book of Acts, and it talks about Paul, and it's a really cool reading. And we're going to get to that, but of course we better introduce ourselves.
Oh yeah.
We are the Tarts.
Crumbs from the Pop-Tarts is our offering today.
That's right.
For Friday, July the 2nd.
There we go.
I'm Reverend Annie.
And
That's Reverend Carrie.
No, most of you know us. And
There could be somebody new watching.
well, that's right.
We could be branching out in other places.
Well, we actually are branching out all over the
I
place.
know. It's that branching out thing. It's always, as long as somebody doesn't lop us off, we're fine.
There we go. So, anyways, our reading today comes
Yes.
from Acts chapter 9, verses 1 to 9.
Right.
So, Abby, why don't you just read it? Because you've got your glasses on. I think mine are in my office.
Oh yeah, sure.
These windows are beautiful, but they don't let in quite as much light.
That's her excuse. She's sticking to it. We're also reading from the Sparks Bible. You see these colorful Bibles. They actually come that way. We did not put the covers on them. So I encourage anyone to find a Bible that works for them. And this one, yeah, it's got stickers on the back. We referred to that. It's kind of, it has maps, but it's also easy to read in any light. So, Acts chapter 9, verse 1. Meanwhile, Saul, still breathing threats and murder against the disciples of the Lord, went to the high priest and asked him for letters to the synagogues at Damascus, so that if he found any who belonged to the way, men or women, he might bring them bound to Jerusalem. Now as he was going along and approaching Damascus, suddenly a light from heaven flashed around him. He fell to the ground and heard a voice saying to him, "Saul, Saul, why do you persecute me?" He asked, "Who are you, Lord?" The reply came, "I am Jesus, whom you are persecuting. But get up and enter the city, and you will be told what you are to do." The men who were traveling with him stood speechless because they heard the voice but saw no one. Saul got up from the ground, and though his eyes were open, he could see nothing. So they led him by the hand and brought him into Damascus. For 3 days he was without sight and neither ate nor drank. The Gospel of Christ.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Oh, Saul, what are we to do?
I love Saul. In fact, I do. I mean, I don't know if I'd want him as Saul or as Paul at my dinner table. Not that I don't like him, it's just he's so intense, right? Like he is like crazy intense. But what you have to love about this guy is that he makes most of us look pretty okay.
Yeah.
Like he was so vehement in his attack and persecution of those who followed the way. And I love that term, the way, right? Yeah. Those who are following Christ, that early church, that early Christ movement or Jesus movement.
Jesus movement, yeah.
There is hope for everyone. When we hear and read about Saul and how he, with such passion and conviction, went from defending his beliefs that were a little wonky, because anytime we reach out in murderous intent, I think we've got the wrong end of the stick, right? But he was passionate, and that passion and conviction then was transformed. It was this incredible, miraculous transformation that through the power of Jesus, he then saw the way himself, right? And instead of persecuting, then he began to uplift and affirm and witness to.
And I think it's interesting, I always reflect on those around anyone witnessing that. So the people that were with Saul,
who were speechless,
what the heck were they doing? Like, really?
I think they jumped into the nearest ditch.
I think they probably did. They, stood speechless because they heard the voice but saw no one. Okay, yeah, that would be a little freaky. I think if, the two of us sitting here in the church at St. Paul's and all of a sudden we heard a voice from above, I would think it was the speaker system doing something weird, right? But I don't know that I would, at that moment, do anything but sit and look too. But then I wonder, I would probably, knowing me, I'd go and help them and say, okay, you just got struck. Are you okay? Like, do you need CPR?
They do, right? They help him up. Like, everybody's in stunned silence.
And they take him by the hand.
Because he can't see now.
Right. So, okay, they do help him. They don't say anything. Well, nothing's recorded that they said. But were they converted too? Were they converted too?
Yeah, because you would think that they were of the same ilk, right?
Yeah. Did they truly follow, or were they ones that just, okay, well, this looks like a good guy to carry on with? And did all of a sudden Jesus just not change one, but changed many?
I love how you raised that point, because our attention is completely on the extraordinary there. Right? And I know I've often said that when we are only focused on the extraordinary, we miss what happens within the grace of the ordinary.
Right. Yeah.
And so here are witnesses who have seen this happen. They didn't see it, they heard it, and then they saw the results of it with Saul, right? He falls over, and now they have to take him, and they lead him the way, right? What seeds were planted in them that we will never know about? How many times in our own lives do we reach out to people? Do we talk to people? We brush up against them, right? We have no idea the seeds that we plant in them. Now, sometimes they're weeds, because let's face it, we're not always on our best behavior.
But weeds are pretty.
Well, they are pretty, but when we offer the best of ourselves, when we offer a witness to that divine spark that's within us, and I know I'm really on this divine spark these days, since that, the parable of the mustard seed, and right? I mean, just really that captivated my imagination. But that's what we're looking for, right? We're looking for that divine spark. That divine spark, man, oh man, it blasted them, right? That light. But what's in them now? Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking. Like, okay, I'm always the one that reads the Bible and goes, so what about the other guys, right? Like, what about, how come it happened to one person and everybody else around didn't get affected? Like,
but we just don't know how they were affected.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, maybe they became part of the crowd that then followed Jesus no matter what.
Absolutely.
And I'm always interested, like, Jesus found Saul at that time when Saul needed Jesus the most.
Or the followers of Jesus needed him the most, because he was on his way to the synagogue with these letters. Right. And I don't think it was a letter of sweet introduction.
No, I don't
think so.
It was
letters, I believe, that would have allowed him to be really, really bad.
Mean. He would be mean.
Like brutal, like persecutor,
but you know what I mean? That's what I find with the power of God and the power of Jesus, and that he knew where to go, and he knew to go after Saul, and maybe he'd been watching Saul for a while. Maybe he'd been kind of, I look up here and there's a camera hanging from the rafters, and I think maybe he's watching, right? Like maybe he's always been watching and waiting for the right time. Because Jesus could have interrupted Saul any time.
Absolutely.
But he chose that time when he was with a bunch of other people.
What was that spark? Yeah. What was that spark? Right? What was the circumstances around that?
Yeah.
I remember as a kid remembering, the preacher would talk about the fact that God saw into your, no, and now, when I was a kid, the preacher was a little more,
fire and brimstone?
oh yeah.
Standing from the
up
pulpit,
there, yeah.
firing stuff
Right,
at you?
and,
Oh yeah.
As you all know, I don't stand up there, and I don't do the whole thunderbolt thing. But
It has nothing to do with the fact that we're vertically challenged, and some of these pulpits are really tall. So standing on a box doing a sermon.
Yeah, that's
doesn't
true.
cut it.
That's true.
It really
It's just not who I am, right? But
Yeah.
but growing up, you know, some of the teachings were just really, really harsh.
Yeah, yeah.
And I remember this preacher years and years ago saying that God saw everything, that God never took his eyes off us. And I used to think, like,
like
everything?
Yeah.
In the shower? Yeah. And
So then-
this terror of, oh my goodness, a nasty thought just went through my mind. Oh, I'm gonna be struck down. It's pretty scary, but actually, God does see into our hearts.
Yeah.
And I think our minds have a lot of trouble. I think it's like Zoom. I think God must have like this super Zoom computer. And we're all just little tiny, you know, there's Annie. She's up to mischief at the moment. Oh, Saul. Okay, sorry, we got to fix Saul at the moment.
But you know what? If God has a big Zoom computer, I'd be muted most of the time. Oh, we better okay, we gotta close her down.
Screensaver.
We digress. But I always find that interesting whenever we use one of these, and I think for the summer we're going to look at some of
The parables.
The parables, which, if you've never had the chance to go through the Bible and go through some research to find all the parables, wow, there's not just one or two, just so you know. So this summer we're going to go through through the parables, and we're going to see, at least when I was reading some of them, how did Jesus know exactly where to go and when to be there? You know, like even last Sunday, when we had the woman touching the cloak.
Yeah.
Like she just happened to be in the right place at the right time? Huh? But did Jesus know that was going to happen?
I think, Jesus was so attuned, to the needs, right? And I think it's so much bigger than we can even imagine, right? But it's that very act of Jesus constantly moving towards us. Jesus was totally moving towards Saul in this gospel story, right? In Acts, right?
Yeah.
So Saul was not moving towards Jesus. Well, not
No.
in a friendly way. I suppose he was moving towards Jesus, but not in a friendly way.
No.
He was not moving towards the light and life of the world.
No.
Right?
No.
But Jesus was obviously moving towards Saul. And there was an intersection that they met at. And it completely, as we hear later from Saul, it completely transforms him. His heart is changed. His vision is truly opened up. When he gets his sight back, his vision now is completely different.
His theology has changed.
Everything.
Who he follows has changed. Everything's changed.
Miraculous. And isn't that that's what we've been talking about so much in our recent stories in the Gospels, is the miracles that Jesus performed.
So, for the end of, now the beginning of July, but the end of looking at the daily lectionary, we'll now be looking at the real miracles of Jesus and the parables that he told about those miracles. So, and some of the neat stuff that he did.
And how he turned the world upside down.
Yep.
Right? And in turning the world upside down, turning it right side up, and opening us up to seeing new possibilities and seeing through a thinner veil, I think, into the kingdom of God. There we go. Wasn't that a nice place to sort of end our
segue down?
Yeah.
So it's July now. Wow, I can't believe we're here.
Happy summer.
Happy summer. And be well. And
Be
stay
well,
safe.
and please stay safe. Remember, we still need to wear our masks.
Yeah, we do.
We still need to wash our hands. That never ends.
No.
We still need to try and keep our distance and care for one another in the way that we just abide by all of those guidelines, even as the summer opens up a bit for us.
Yes, a little bit.
Little bit. So until we see one another again, take care and God bless.
Be well.
And blessings from the
Pop-Tarts!